Welcome to Failed Forward, a podcast for professionals who are wondering, how the hell did I get here?
Join your host, Rachel Durkin, and me, Donna Miller, as we discuss the messy, bumpy, and often unattractive journey to success.
After all, if it isn't hard to do, is it really worth doing? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Failed Forward, the podcast for those of us wondering, how the hell did I get here? My name is Rachel Durkin. I'm with Paradigm Marketing and Design. We are a web branding, marketing, and sales enablement agency that customizes working with clients with a complex sale. So if you require a sales team or a development team to close a deal, we can help build a marketing to sales infrastructure to make that happen. That will help your sales team close more deals at a faster pace and have more qualified meetings. I am really excited about our guest today. She was a past client of ours in her past job. But before we get to her, let me introduce my co-host, Donna Miller.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am Donna Miller. I am Chief Visionary Officer at C3 Workplace and founder of Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting. And for the last 30 years, we've been helping teams to accelerate their growth by providing business advisory and support services around operations, finance, and biz dev. Our clients know that by bringing us in, we will build efficient, cohesive systems that they can execute on, or we can help them execute on, thereby helping them to build that foundation for a company or an organization that can scale. So delighted to be here and delighted to have Heather Thompson here. So Heather, before we get into the mud, tell us a little bit about how fabulous you are and what you do.
Oh, well, goodness. Hi, Donna and Rachel. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm a fan of the podcast and I'm really excited to be a guest today. So I'm Heather Thompson. I am a nonprofit executive. I've been working in the nonprofit field for around 25 years, though with a few departures here and there. And I'm going to talk about that because it's been an interesting path for me. But I'm currently the executive director of Table to Table. And what we are is we're New Jersey's first and largest food rescue nonprofit. So we're essentially founded on the belief that good food belongs on people's tables, not in landfills. And we're working to address the problem that about 3 billion pounds of food gets thrown away in New Jersey every single year, while 1 million of our neighbors don't have enough to eat. So we are here to bridge that gap. We are sourcing surplus fresh food donations from hundreds of supermarkets and distributors and farms and restaurants and all sorts of places where food gets thrown away. And we're delivering it directly to a network of about 270 community agencies, so pantries and shelters and community kitchens, so that ultimately it gets into the hands of folks who need it most. We're really particularly focused on the fresh perishable foods, the produce, the proteins, the dairies, the eggs, which so commonly get thrown away and are so valued by folks who are food insecure and working to, stretch their dollar as far as it can go. So we have trucks out on the road every single day. We have volunteers who help with smaller rescues using our app. It's a pretty amazing operation for which I take no credit because I just joined the organization in January. So it's an amazing place to work. We have a very small but mighty team, and it's like genuinely a privilege to have been chosen to lead the team.
So I've known, so Heather's talking about her organization, but I've known her for a while and I've been in the nonprofit world for a while, and there's lots of wonderful, smart, innovative people in nonprofit. Heather, you are at the top of that list. Like Heather, really, I mean, she thinks big, she drives action, very accomplished. So I need to brag for you for a second. So, in your career, you've elevated over and over again, director of development for huge organizations, executive director roles, it's as high as you can go. Was it always easy? We talked about your journey of jumping in and out of nonprofit. Nonprofit's challenging because, we were just talking about how the government changes are going to affect funding, and you're a slave to the economy and what's going on. So how are you handling it? How do you handle the downtimes?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's, you asked like, was it always easy? It's not easy today. It's never going to be easy. There's nothing about this work that's easy. And, a lot of times I'll get into conversations with folks about like, if you've chosen to work in nonprofit, it's not just a job and it's not even just a career. It is a calling. Now it sounds a little like lofty and a little, elevated, but it is kind of one of those fields that like you have to have a deep passion for it and this sort of gut level, driving force. Like I've got to keep working to address whatever issue it is
Mhm.
that my organization exists to address. So no, it's never easy. And my pathway to get here has been a little funny because I definitely did not start out thinking this would be my
Mhm.
career. I didn't, major in public administration or nonprofit management or anything even close to it. I majored in musical theater, has like seemingly
Yay!
nothing. Yep, there's my
At least
jazz.
you're fun to watch. Yeah.
So seemingly has nothing to do with anything, right? So, you know, moving to New York to pursue that career and working in that, auditioning and doing small shows for a few years and then realizing like, oof, I don't think this is the rest of my life. So now what? And having conversations with people who sort of knew me as a person well enough to know that I'm just this sort of very, action driven, passion driven person who sort of pointed me to the nonprofit world, not really knowing what I was getting myself into, thinking like, well, that sounds great. Like working in
Mhm.
nonprofit, how fulfilling. Um, and, diving into it and realizing the emotion that comes with that and the constant fear of failure or of falling short because we my organization and every nonprofit organization out there exists to fill an unmet need or to address an unmet need. And those unmet needs are generally pretty enormous. And uh, I am not alone going to end hunger in New Jersey. I alone am not going to stop food waste in New Jersey. So finding the balance between seeing the size of the problem and still carrying on every day to chip away at it and not giving up
Mhm.
on that and trying to see the impact we are having and the bigger picture of the impact that the sector is having. That's a tough balance to strike.
That was going to be my question, Heather. I mean, you've said it in a few different ways, but you said it's never going to be easy.
Mm.
It's a constant battle. When you realized that, which I'm assuming was relatively early on, how do you counter that? Like, how do you equip yourself and your team to keep
Mhm.
going in this face of constant adversity?
Yeah. Do either of you know the sort of story or the parable about the starfish on the beach?
Mm-mm.
Okay, this is one of my favorites, and at some
Okay.
point I need to get myself a framed print of this for my office because it's something that I go back to in my own mind and with my team a lot. It's just basically the story is there's been a massive storm and there's thousands and thousands of starfish that have washed up on the beach. And a little boy is walking along the beach the morning after the storm, picking up the starfish one by one and throwing them back into the ocean. And an older person comes along and says, little boy, like, what are you doing? And he says, well, I'm saving the starfish. And the adult says, well, you can't possibly save all the starfish. There's thousands of them. You're not going to be able to make a real difference here. And the boy picks up another starfish and throws it in the water and says, well, I made a difference for that one.
Mm.
Oh,
That is what keeps me going.
Mhm.
And I think it's such a beautiful metaphor for what this work is all about. And it sounds cliche, but it really is sometimes the only thing that keeps us going is to know that, today we got nutritious food into the hands of a family who did not know where dinner was going to come from tonight. And if that made their day better and gave them a
Mhm.
little bit of peace of mind and the, physical and mental energy to focus on something else, then I've done something good today. And if I keep going, I can do it again tomorrow and then again tomorrow. So,
You have to celebrate the win. So when the problem
yeah.
seems so astronomical, it's like kind of like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
yeah,
And
exactly. And
that's
remembering that at the end of the day, this is all about human to human work.
mhm.
So, for me, like I've always worked in and always loved working in local nonprofits where I get the opportunity to see the result of my work in my communities. And so, actually taking the time to go, like, we don't distribute food directly to people. We distribute it to organizations that feed people.
Mm-hmm.
But I make time and my team makes time and we do it as a group sometimes to go visit and help out at those food
The end
distributions
result.
because it keeps us in touch with,
Mm-hmm.
why are we driving ourselves crazy doing all of this? It's because, 2 weeks
Right.
ago when I spent hours with a team sorting through a giant crate of eggplants and pulling out the bad ones so that we could just, give away the good ones. And then people arrived and were like, "Oh my God, eggplant. I love eggplant." Like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited that you have eggplant today." Like, okay, worth it.
Yeah. So in this whole journey, I mean, you're very inspirational, Heather. But what have you learned, along the way?
I mean,
Like if you could tell your younger self something from like your 20 years ago, what would you tell her?
yeah. So a couple of things, right? That I've talked about this feeling sometimes that nothing we do is ever going to be enough, but I've learned that what keeps me balanced and focused on the positive is the people I surround myself with and the critical importance of having, not just any network, but like at least a few key people who really get what it is you do and who are those people that you can reach out to when you're in those moments of like I'm done, like I'm done, I'm fried, I can't do this anymore. I just, it's one problem or one challenge after the next. To have those people that you can reach out to and say, I'm despairing, I'm hitting a wall,
Mhm.
I don't know what to do. And those are the folks who either not going to try to, put some band-aid on it, and they're not going to try to um, provide the logical argument back because they're also in it and they've had plenty of those moments themselves. So there's like that immediate alignment and understanding and empathy. And then you can have real conversations and find your way out of that challenging place. I have a handful of close friends who are in nonprofit who I've like deliberately really fed those friendships because it's about more than the friendships between us as people. It's also about the support that we provide to each other.
Mhm.
So that's a big one for me. And I think the other thing is, I said I started out in musical theater. I went into nonprofit after that. Then I was in restaurant events for a little while. Then I went back into nonprofit, but in nonprofit arts, which was fun and interesting. But then I was kind of like, no, not for me. Back
Mhm.
to back to human services. And every step of the way, every time I had one of those transitions, I also had these moments, especially when I was younger, of like, oh my God, I totally failed at this. And now I got to figure out what I'm gonna do next, instead of seeing it as a like, that was really cool.
Good experience.
Yeah, like I learned, I grew as a human being, and I'm going to take everything I learned and all of those sort of skills and experiences that I've had, they will carry me forward in some way.
Mhm.
Um,
I love that.
yeah, and I just, I didn't always recognize that when I was younger. I felt like I was giving up and I felt like I might be disappointing myself, disappointing other people, disappointing my parents, all that stuff instead of giving myself the grace to say like it is okay
Mm.
to do something for a while and even be good at it and then say I'm ready to move on to something else. That
Mhm.
is
Mm,
okay.
mm. We of course, we're talking about, failing forward and challenges. It sounds to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds to me like the biggest challenge has been the never-ending headwind. Was that it, or is it something else? What is that the big challenge?
I think that is the big challenge, and it's not unique to the nonprofit world. It's really common in the nonprofit world, but it's definitely not unique to our sector. It's just yeah, it's like that feeling that nothing I do will ever actually be enough, and I think that's probably more common than a lot of people would like to think it is. That like how do I actually
Like a hamster wheel, like just
Yeah,
being
how do I get off,
positive.
like, am I ever gonna get off the treadmill? And when I do, am I gonna feel like I actually got anywhere at all?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest challenge, and it's an ongoing one. It's an actual work challenge. It's a work-life balance challenge, right? Because in theory, I could work for 14 hours straight every single day. I could write one more grant. I could call one more donor. I could do one more thing that maybe would bring in that next gift that would allow us to just move that. So in theory, I could never stop.
Mhm.
So also being, finding the mental space
Yeah.
to say that is enough for today. It's okay for me to stop. It's okay for me to take a vacation with my family and like
Mhm.
tune out and reset my brain and reset my soul and have more energy to come back to the work.
Mhm.
That is yeah, that's my biggest challenge as a
Yeah.
person. For
Yeah,
I
sure.
I get it. And I think that, that shows up for all of us, whether we're for profit or nonprofit.
Mhm.
Um, my gut says that because you are who you are, you receive it differently than I might receive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Heather, I love your energy.
I'm
I
sorry, let me
love
just
what
say
you're
one thing,
doing.
Donna, and then I know you're gonna wrap us up. I heard a quote, I can't remember where it came from, but it was choose your hard. You could lay
Mm,
down and give up, but
Oh,
that's hard, right? Because you're not gonna get anywhere. Or you could get up every day and try again, and that's hard too. So choose your hard.
yeah.
And
I
yeah,
love that.
I always think about that when I'm like, oh, I
yeah,
don't feel like working out, or I don't feel like, I'm
yeah.
like, I'm gonna choose my hard. What do I?
Mhm.
So I'm
Right.
sorry, Donna,
And
go ahead.
I think the hard that's avoidable is regret.
And
So
that's
that's,
worse than
Yeah.
that's
anything
the part
that.
that we try and move past is can we
But it's the
avoid
easiest to do in the moment. And so,
exactly,
For
exactly.
sure. Yeah, the giving up the inaction,
mhm.
it is it yeah, sometimes it feels like it would be the really nice choice,
Yeah.
but I would not be able to forgive myself for just
Mhm.
giving up.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're that's just not who we are. Okay, Heather, fabulous conversation. Thank you for all that you're doing. I normally say, how can we reach you? But in this case, I'm going to say, how can we help you? Where can we
Mhm.
donate? Tell
Mhm.
me about this app. This will all be in show notes as well, but
Yeah.
tell
Thank
the
you.
audience how we can help you.
Thank you. Yeah, so at Table to Table, we run pretty lean where we really rely on support from the community to keep, moving this food, keep picking up this food and getting it out to the community. We're on track to rescue and deliver 25 million pounds of food this year. So like it is really making a dent in the problem, but we're only able to do that because we have so many people in the community who sort of ask that question, okay, how can I help? So yeah, even small donations make a huge difference. Like
Excellent.
literally $1 provides the resources for us to pick up and deliver 10 meals. So it adds up really, really quickly. So tabletotable.org is where you can learn more about our work. And we're also always looking for volunteers to download our app, the iRescue app, and sign up to be a volunteer. And on your own schedule, when you have time, it can be a couple times a year, it can be a couple times a week. You can look at the pickups and deliveries that are available in your own community, pick the ones that fit your schedule, and just go out and do them when you've got time.
I want you to know where I was at a networking event last week and someone shared the app with us and we all downloaded it.
That's
So it's
awesome.
a
I
great
love
idea.
it.
It's a
The
great
word is
idea. So
spreading.
Heather, thank you so much for your story and the work that you do. And I want to encourage all of you, our audience, to embrace the concept of failing forward. We all fail along the way. The trick is to get back up, and we hope we've inspired you to do that today. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you both.